The opinions, views, and conclusions expressed in this show are those of the show host and co-host and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of KPFV FM or its affiliates.
KPFV LP 98.1 FM presents Changing the Planet One Mind at a Time every Thursday, 1 p.m. with your host, Gail Gaia.
One mind at a time.
Good afternoon. This is Gail of Gaia, and we have an exciting afternoon today. I'm having a very special guest. His name is Kent Dunn. You will have seen him on YouTube on shows such as The Goldfish Report or Dr. Sam Muggsy on KCOR, and a number of other places that are escape me at the moment. Anyway, Kent is a very interesting man with a very interesting background. He has contact with the Galactics, and we'll talk about that, and we're going to go down the rabbit hole. So I would strongly suggest you put on your big boy and big girl pants, because we're going to be talking about things that you're going to go, oh, I don't believe that, or oh, blah, blah, blah. But believe it, the truth is coming out. It's not a pretty truth either. It's borders on ugly truth. And sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So don't let that deter you. It's better to be in the know than to not know anything about what's really going on. So I expect Ken to call in any minute now. We'll talk about things like the weather and what's going on in California. We'll talk about a little bit about the RV. We'll talk about what is 5D versus 3D. What are people talking about when they talk about ascension? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about ETs and the ET races that are actually on our planet. We might talk a little bit about the Agarthians, which are people from Inner Earth. We'll talk about something known as, I'll bring up Project Moonshadow, Project Jedi. We'll ask Ken about those. He's a reporter, and I'm going to have him tell you a little bit about himself so that you know more. You also may want to look up a video by a whistleblower known as William Tompkins, who just before he a while before he died. He just died recently. But he was an older gentleman, and he revealed a lot of truth about things that have gone on that we just don't know about because we're not told what we need to know by the media. So the media has us set up in a false reality. And so we're going to expose some of the things that we're not told about. And, be it as you may, if you don't believe it, that's fine. But I tell you what, contempt without investigation is not the way to go. After you hear this information, I would strongly suggest that you go on the internet and you do some research and on these different topics, and we may get into pedophilia a little bit as well, because they say that arrests are coming up soon. Anyway, hopefully Ken will call in any minute now. I did tell him to call in a little bit after the lunch hour. If you haven't ever heard of the Pleiadians, Ken describes himself as a Pleiadian incarnate. He'll explain what that means. Pleiades is up in the galaxy out there, and that is a race of beings that are here to help us. The sad part of it is so much of our life we've been told lies in just about every area that exists, if not every area that exists, from healthcare to legalities to religion to history and all these things. But disclosure is beginning to happen, and that's why you have to be open-minded enough to hear what is being said and have a clue as to what may actually be going on. We also are going to bring up the what's going on. I'm going to ask Ken what's going on in Puerto Rico, and what he meant by some statements that he said on some other shows, where we are at on that. And let's see, what else? He's an investigative reporter. Let's see. We'll talk about what's going on with FEMA. And FEMA, from everything I've read and hear, is not to be trusted. We will be seeing things that we've never seen before. I don't know if you've ever heard of reptilians, but we will talk about that a little bit as well. Also, I'm going to ask Ken what he thinks about what's known as the ego virus. And he also spoke of, I can't remember if it's 5 planets or 7 planets that have come into our galaxy, and people are asking what they are, and we will talk about that. In Austin, Texas, this morning, there was a picture on the internet of where you could see what appeared to be 2 suns. Well, one of them is not a sun, it's a planet. And he will explain what that planet is there for, because it is there for a reason. Kent claims that 86,000 people have already been removed from the planet, and these are dark-hearted people. Because the Creator, or God Almighty, however you want to look upon, Source, has said enough is enough, and humanity deserves what they were originally created to be able to do, and that is to advance or ascend in consciousness, and we'll talk about that. So, get ready for a very interesting ride. We will be going down the rabbit hole, like I said, and I expect Kent to call any minute. There's the phone. He's calling in right now. Hang on.
Okay, hold on, Kent. I'll transfer you.
Hello, Kent, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Well, hi, I'm so happy and delighted to have you on as a guest today. And before you came on, I explained to the audience that we would be going down the rabbit hole and to get ready to have your mind blown a little bit. Whether you believe it or not, it's up to you to do some research, because in contempt without investigation just doesn't make sense. So, Kent, why don't you tell us a little bit, because this listening audience may or may not know of you. So why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and, where you get your information from and who you are and what you do and all that good stuff.
All right. How y'all doing? My name's Kent Dunn. I live in Macon, Georgia. I am an incarnate. What is an incarnate? I come from Hollow Earth. I am a Pleiadian. I was not a walk-in. I was born into a baby and was born into a Pleiadian family. I came here to work with the humans, to raise their vibrations up, to get you all ready to go to 5D.
Could you explain to our audience, I've had people actually ask this question, what is the difference between, I call it 3D drag, and 5D? What does that mean? Some people don't understand what that really means.
Well, it's a higher dimension, is what it is. 5D is a higher dimension, and the dimensions are, your level of understanding of other beings that are out there. You have to understand, if you look at the Creator, and I'm not talking about God, okay, because there's many gods out there, okay? If you look at the Creator, who was the beginning of everything, he is 221D.
That's really up there.
Right. The angels are 201D. And we're struggling to get from 3D to 5D. Look, folks, we got a long way to go,
Yes, we do. That is a long way to go. And when you talk about that higher dimension or that higher consciousness, when we're in that higher consciousness, we are love, joy, compassion, and that sort of thing. There's no negativity. There's no bad things going on. Isn't that correct, Ken?
Right. And if you get into 5D and you allow yourself to slip there, you will be sent back to 3D. 5D, you will not be able to survive. They do not tolerate lying. They do not tolerate things that are tolerated on this planet in 3D because you are of a higher dimension. You'll be able to talk to the animals. You can be able to read the minds of animals. The animals will be able to talk to you, whether they're fish, whether they're going to be deer, or whatever animals they're going to put into 5D. You're going to be able to talk to them, and they're going to be able to talk to you.
And I know this might disturb some people, but I'm sure we won't be eating them at that point either.
No, absolutely not. You'll be a vegetarian, but they do make a protein substitute that is like meat.
Okay. Right now, people are exposed to so many toxins and things like that it's an easy way to reduce that load is by switching to vegetarian, but then you have to be a wise vegetarian too. But anyway, I don't want to go into that right now because we talk about that a lot. One of the things that I was wondering, if maybe you could explain why, some people think that the Galactics are going to save us or save mankind because we're so overpowered by these dark forces that seem to be in charge of the planet. Why is there truly a prime directive?
Well, there's a prime directive, but you have to understand we live on a planet of free will. Out of all the planets, if you understand there's 2 trillion universes out there, imagine if there's only 10 planets per universe, and there's a being on every planet, different being on every planet. Out of all of them planets that are out there, there's only 3 planets in the whole triactosphere, and that's what you call all the universes put together as a triactosphere. Okay? There's only 3 planets that have free will, and you're living on one of them right now.
Oh, really? What are the other 2? May I ask, if you know?
Well, the other 2 are off billions of light years away.
Oh, okay.
In fact, they're being liberated to 5D also. So, but there's going to be people on their planets that are not going to be able to go to 5D, and they will be switched into, a different planet, but still into a 3D model.
Interesting. There was something that you said one time on a show a while ago, and I was asked to ask you about this. So here's the question. What happened to the healing machines you once spoke about?
Every hospital has one.
But are they using them?
They're not using them. They haven't been allowed to use them, but they've had to have them in stock down in the basement since 1951.
So what's holding them up from using them now?
Disclosure.
Okay.
They're not ready to bring them out.
Okay. What does it take for us to inform the public to get some of this stuff disclosed? I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why you're here. Maybe you could explain a little bit about that.
Well, see, there's a lot of governments that's already done disclosure. Canada done disclosure 25 years ago.
They did? That's interesting.
Well, yeah, Canada done disclosure 25 years ago.
What is wrong with America? Why are we so backwards? I mean, people in Europe know more than most Americans know, I'm afraid.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, because of the Common Core that they have over here keeps everybody dumbed down.
Yeah, and the fluoride and the GMOs and the pesticides and the chemtrails and everything else, you name it. America's been hit really hard with all these toxins and poisons. They want to take us down. There's no doubt in my mind about that from what I've seen and read and know. Now, I got another question for you. We have an RV going on, and we're talking about, well, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but there are, what did you say one time, 5 or 7 planets in the galaxy right now? The question yeah, what I'm getting at, Kent, let me explain myself a little bit. If this RV goes on, and as it's scheduled to do so, and the people are going to be divided to 5D and 3D, and what shall we say?
People in 5D will have no use for money.
Thank goodness for that. Yes. But what I'm getting at, okay, so this would only be for
people that are not going to be able to leave 3D. I'll give you, for instance, the Native Americans cannot leave 3D.
Why?
The indigenous people of Atlantis cannot leave 3D.
Why?
Because they signed an agreement with the Galactics many years before Atlantis was had fell into the ocean. To save their people. They have to live under that galactical agreement.
Wow, that's a new one.
This is why if you have currency, okay, and you know you're going to 5D, whenever you disappear, okay, if you're smart, you need to leave it to the Native Americans that are here to be divvied up and taking care of the people on 3D. Because you have to understand, we're going to have replicators on things with our mind in 5D. We're not going to have a use for money. We're not going to have a use for really anything. We can manifest whatever we need.
Well, are we going to be trained how to do that? Or will we just automatically know?
No. You'll have to go through training. You'll have teachers, and you'll have spiritual masters that are up there, which are and for those of you that are going to 5D with us, it'll be my family, the Pleiadians, that are in charge of 5D.
Awesome. Okay. Well, so the people will basically, so it'll just be Native Americans on this planet then? Not Native American, but indigenous people, let me put it that way, not just Native American.
Well, yeah. But there's people that are going to stay 3D that just can't grasp the idea that, Hillary Clinton's not president, and, that
some of our snowflakes.
Right. All the snowflakes that are out there, they just can't,
They hear this information and they probably will melt.
Well, yeah, that's why we call them a snowflake, because just as soon as you touch them, they're just going to melt away,
Okay, well, you know what? I think we need to talk a little bit about what's going on in terms of the weather or natural disasters on the planet, too.
There is no natural disasters. This whole planet is run by AI, artificial intelligence. There is no natural weather on this planet.
Okay, well, that's a point that I'm sure many people are surprised to hear. And then what about HARP and chemtrails, and where does that come in?
That's all part of geoengineering. That is part of MIC.
Okay.
That's part of MIC, which is Military Industrial Complex.
Okay. Well, what is going on in Puerto Rico right now?
Puerto Rico just got hit with a hurricane, but what you all don't know is there was a sonic weapon in that hurricane. Okay.
Whoa!
And it's destroying Puerto Rico, and they are saying that if you're not out of Puerto Rico after Tuesday, you're not going to be able to leave Puerto Rico. They're sending the prison ships over there.
Wow. Let's talk about the prison ships. I don't know if the audience is aware of you're talking about the FEMA barges that look like or pretend to be little apartments or whatever, but they're actually prison cells. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
they just signed a contract yesterday with Carnival Cruise Lines to go over to these islands and pick these people up off these islands. But the secret behind this is the people that get on them cruise ships are not coming back. So you might want to think about that, folks.
Wow. I'm glad I'm not there.
Yeah.
Boy, I understand that there's we've heard this before. In fact, we've been hearing it for a couple of years that there's going to be all these arrests. When's that going to happen? Will the media ever tell us?
As soon as the Republic is announced.
When do you think that might happen?
There will be martial law. Well, it's probably after the first. See, you have to understand, the United States government runs on a 2-year budget. So they're just going to close the books September 30th on the 2016 budget. Bring in the 2018 budget, which will start October 1st. At that time, start looking for military martial law to come into the country and the Republic government to come in.
Now, this will be our military, correct?
Correct.
Okay, because some people got this bad idea about the military, and unfortunately I don't share that idea. I know that they have been used for nefarious reasons in the past, from, bankers that fund both sides of wars in order for corporations to make lots and lots of money. And, unfortunately some of our soldiers become cannon fodder. But there's also a lot of guys out there willing, and gals for that matter, willing to give their life for the Republic, to get humanity back on track and to get the country back on track. And I'd like to give kudos for them, because people don't realize everything that's going on because they can't seem to handle the truth, so they don't know that the military is actually protecting them in ways they're not even aware of. And so I would just and William Tompkins gives a lot of disclosure on some of his, before he died, on some of the videos that he's on.
Right, exactly. I was a big fan of Mr. Tompkins.
Yes, my kudos to the man, because it takes a lot of courage to do what he did. And then I just saw today, and this will blow people's minds too, because it's just so hard to believe, and that is that our government, 1/3 of our government, are Satanists or pedophiles.
I'll go one better than that. 2/3 of your government are not even real.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that. I know what you mean, but you're going to have to explain that, because people aren't going to know what you're talking about. So tell them, Kent.
They've been killed, and they've been replaced with clones or hard holograms.
Okay, could you Okay, go ahead.
How far do you want me to go into the hard holograms?
Yeah, because people go, what? Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let me, y'all might want to sit down for this one. You're not real. None of you are real. Not the woman interviewing me, not me, or anything. We are a hard hologram. You are run off of a giant projection system that is Draco, that has been around on this planet since its inception. Okay? You are assigned a letter and a number and a projector that projects your body into making you think you're real. You are nothing but a Mario on a PS2 system. That's exactly what you are. You are a hard hologram.
So are they controlling what you say and do as well?
No, because we live on a planet of free will. We are allowed to say and think what we wish.
Okay. And who kills us if they don't like what we say and do?
With our government.
Yeah, I know. I just had to put that in there. But I'm aware of that. So what about this? The media, through the Dracos, reptilians, whatever you want to call them, I guess they're two different groups, but either way, they create a false reality with the media. Is that not correct?
Correct.
So
if you understand that aliens run every government in this world, the tall whites run the United States government, the black avians run the Russian governments, the mullets run the Chinese governments. There's your three big ones right there.
Now, do they compete with each other?
Only to a point causing me and you chaos.
Okay. I can get that. What about this pedophilia thing? I bring that up even though it's a very touchy subject. Most people don't want to hear it. But if you think about how many...
I was one of them that broke the story. I was a political reporter for 12 years.
Well, thank you for that. I think that is the
You're
most
welcome.
god-awful thing that has ever occurred on this planet and continues to occur. And people don't want to... It's like they don't want to know or they don't believe it. But if they stop and think about how many children go missing every year, you have to wonder, where did they go?
Well, you can thank the military. You can thank the governments for that. They're the ones that are kidnapping the kids.
So all this human trafficking is just going on right under the noses of our politicians and our military and everybody else?
What are you talking about under the nose of it? They're getting paid for it.
Well, that's rather disturbing. Okay, they're getting paid for it. Well, who are the good guys? Aren't there anyone out there that's trying to expose this and change it and stop it? What if it was your child?
Well, if it was my child, you know, I have children and I have grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
I keep an eye on my kids.
Well,
you know,
that's why people have to know this kind of stuff. How can you protect yourself if you don't know, or your children, or your family for that matter, if you don't even know it or you won't even believe that it exists?
Well, there's people out there that practice Satanism, okay, or Luciferians, whatever you want to call them, and they sell their kids, okay? John Benet Ramsey's mom and dad in Colorado. Remember when that little girl was killed?
Yeah, I sure do. She was a beautiful
Her
little
mom and dad
girl.
her mom and dad were Luciferians. He stole money. What'd they do? They came in there, taught him a lesson, killed his kid.
Wow. That's disgusting. And just out of curiosity, wasn't the real reason that General Michael Flynn was terminated or relieved of his position because he had a list of pedophiles in the government? Is that true?
Of course.
Exactly. That's what I was afraid of. Okay. So that's why they gave him the axe, because I don't know, if as many people that they're stating are in that realm of Satanism and pedophilia, they are protecting each other.
Right, exactly.
And I imagine
what they do is they get something on a politician, and they say, if you don't do this for us, we're going to turn your story loose to the public. This is why you don't trust anybody in politics.
Yeah. Don't some of them get set up in what they call honey traps and things like that, too?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not that that's an excuse, but it's certainly, I don't know.
Yeah, but they do. But you know, it's their own greed that gets them in trouble. You know, this is the thing about it. Greed is what gets them in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. No, they're not up. If you think that the politicians are up there to help you, you're fooling yourself.
I don't vote anymore. I haven't voted for a number of years for that exact reason. I just, I've seen it for quite some time now. Unfortunately,
right.
we need to have other people see it as well. And I think it's starting to happen.
Right, exactly. But you have to understand, they've got a new Congress, they've got a new Senate waiting for when the Republic is announced. There's going to be mass arrests when the country goes under martial law. We're going to be under martial law for around 72 hours. Whatever you do, do not give the military any trouble.
They are there doing a good thing, correct?
Correct.
And we want the Republic back. We want to out from under this corporate construct that
all of this
exploits us all.
Now, all of this about the Republic was set up between China, Russia, United States, and the United Nations. They did this over 3 years ago. Nothing in government ever just happens. This was planned. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you're seeing playing out was planned. This is better than anything Hollywood can come up with.
Like I said, truth is stranger than fiction, isn't it?
It sure is.
Now, I heard, I think it was on another show, that the elite's bank accounts were being zeroed out. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. Because all they have is fiat money. Their money is not going to be backed up by the new gold backed anymore.
Okay. Well, when the RV happens, one of the questions that I have is, how does that affect your average man or woman? Or doesn't it?
No, because those of us that are in the RV are going to take the money and we're actually going to put people back to work. Fix people's houses, make sure they have food in their bellies, clothes on their back. I want to, if there's one thing I can tell you, a wise professor once told me, he said, how many people does it take to pick bananas?
To do what?
Pick bananas.
Pick bananas? Okay. How many?
Millions and millions and millions. Why? Because the people picking the bananas have to have shirts. They have to have pants. They have to have socks. They have to have shoes. They have to have knives to cut the bananas down. They have to be able to put them in crates. They have to take the crates, put them on trucks, take them to warehouses. Warehouses have to put them on another truck, take them to airports. Airports have to put them on planes to fly them all around the world. So how many people does it take to pick bananas?
Quite a few, apparently.
Obviously. So this is the idea. For every one job you create 5 more in another industry somewhere doing something, because not everybody has the same taste in everything.
Uh-huh.
So, for every one job that we create, we're going to create 5 more. So this is where this comes in.
Very interesting. And these projects, is that part of what I've seen called the angel projects or something on that order?
That is part of Yosef's thing. I don't get into Yosef.
Oh, okay.
I haven't got into. I don't agree with Yosef on anything.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was the same thing or something else. I don't really know of him.
Well, him and another organization got together. God bless them if they can do what they're saying they're doing. But Yosef's lied to everybody for so long. I don't know why anybody even listens to him.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. So that is the stuff you usually find on Intel Chronicles?
Right.
Okay.
But there's many of them out there. I mean, there's Dinar Detectives. There's, there's a bunch of them out there. I mean, Yosef's all over the place, and
okay.
Yosef was a disinformation officer. Okay.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice to know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about one time on one of the shows that you were on, I heard you say something to the effect that we will go back to 1650. Could you explain that?
Sure. If you understand, the world is actually flat. It's not round.
Okay, well, that's going to cause a big stir, I guarantee you that.
Well, that's okay. I'm here to cause the stir. Y'all blame me for it, okay?
Okay.
There's a dome over this planet that we live on. It's called a firmament. Okay?
Okay.
They're trying to tell everybody that we're having a pole shift like we live on a round earth. We do not live on a round earth, folks. We live on a flat earth.
People have a hard time wrapping that around their round head.
I know, because everybody, look, we don't go to school to be educated. We're indoctrinated. They teach us what they want us to know. They don't actually educate you. This is why I do the things this is why I come on and do shows like this, because I don't want people to say, well, nobody ever told me.
That's exactly right. And that's why I don't have any problem with, going down the rabbit hole and pointing these things out to people, and they can call me crazy. They can call me, what planet am I from, and all that other stuff, or a conspiracy theorist. I've been called that years ago. And little did they know that conspiracy theorist was created by the CIA when they wanted to, their story about JFK to stick. So, and you can't be a conspiracy theorist when the conspiracy is factual. And that's what I try to tell people. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. You know, when did the truth ever need a defense?
Seems to need a lot of it late. I mean, you know, you get attacked when you bring out the truth. You really do.
Right, exactly. The truth doesn't need a defense, folks. It's a lie that needs a defense, okay? This is the thing that you all need to remember. A lie needs a defense. The truth doesn't need a defense.
And that's why people get that's why they get so defensive when the truth is put out. Or cognitive dissonance, whatever you want to call it.
Because it's not the concept that they were taught, okay? It's not the concept they were taught. But I'm not going to sit here and stroke your ego. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth.
And the fact is that we have been lied to in every area of our life. Every area.
Right. If you you've been lied to, I always love people that say, well, that's not what the Bible says. I'm like, really? There's 79 versions of the Bible. Which one are you talking about?
Thank you. And how many of the books or any of the pages that may have been real have been hidden by the Vatican or changed?
If we can get if we could get in a velvet vault, we could blow organized religion right out of the water. And I'm not against religion. Really, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I believe everybody ought to believe in something. I'm spiritual myself.
Well,
but,
I believe in, I call myself spiritual too, and I believe that our religion should be love. That's what it really should be. At least, for the most part, except for the nefarious ones. But, religion was created by man and the reptilians and
created by
Dracos.
the Anunnaki.
I was going to just say that.
Created by the Anunnaki.
And to mislead us, to divide people, to
exactly.
Yeah.
To get you away from the hidden history of the real world. If you want to know what the real Bible is, go out and look for a copy of the Sumerian Bible.
Are they even available?
You can get it. You can even go. They're even free online. You can download them as a PDF.
Oh.
Look for the book of Enoch.
I'm going to have to read that book. I haven't read that book. But
Enoch was Moses' grandfather. Moses was an Anunnaki. Moses' father was named Methuselah. He was an Anunnaki. Moses' grandfather was named Enoch. He was favored by the Creator. He walked side by side with the Creator. He loved the Creator so much, and the Creator loved him.
Wow, that must have been a beautiful experience.
Don't you wish we all could do that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, one of the things that seems to be a very common theme in many of the religions, and this is always a get ready to get attacked subject to go on, is the Savior program. Can you comment on that, Kent?
Yeah, you are your own Ra, okay? You are your own Ra.
Explain that.
It's the energy that you put out. Nobody's going to save you, okay?
Thank you. That's what I was getting at.
You have to save your own self.
That's what I was getting at.
And how do you do that? You do that by raising your vibrations, your love vibrations. You get rid of the hate, get rid of the ego, get rid of all the things that are of this world. Stop thinking with your mind, start thinking with your heart, folks.
And they've even proven that the heart vibration reaches so much further than the brain. And we've been put in our head and out of our heart. I mean, some of us anyway. And
Right.
that was, an intentional thing that's been done to mankind. Let's see. I also read that the reptilian elite want to erase the mankind's memory and insert lies and denying any contact with our Creator. Do you know anything about that?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. But the Creator's not allowing that.
Thank goodness. Now, are we going to actually get some help from Galactics and the Creator? Because, let's face it, I mean, mankind...
Only against the aliens. And when I say aliens, I'm talking about those that live in Hollow Earth, which are the Draconians, the Anunnakis, the reptilians, those that are, that are controlling the top Earth people. Okay?
Yeah, they have us as debt slaves. I mean, basically, we're, indoctrinated, filled with toxins and all kinds of things to alter our DNA and keep us down, keep us from having the, they even messed with our DNA. Why don't we have a whole bunch of what's called junk DNA, and it's not junk DNA. It's DNA that they, altered in such a way to dumb us down, to make us live for a shorter period of time and so on. Would you agree with that? Did you hear that? Kent, are you still there? Hello? Did we lose you? Hang on, I guess we might be having some technical difficulties. It seems as though he's not there. Does it show up? Oh, there you are. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. I've been here.
Oh, okay.
I heard you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I heard you.
Or were you thinking of an answer?
Oh, that's it. That's what I was doing. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, it just threw me. All of a sudden it was silent and I didn't know if you were still there or not. So,
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Where did we leave off? I got him. Okay.
Well, we were talking about the free will of the planet, and will the Galactics help us? They'll help us for those that are trying to stop us, okay, from gaining our freedom. Because you have to understand, we're one of 3 planets that have free will, and we're smiled upon by the Creator because we are on this planet, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to keep us down, but their time is over. They were given dominion over this earth. Now it's time to give up, and they don't want to give up.
And that's sad because mankind deserves an opportunity to have some control over their own life. And right now, you really don't. They say you create your reality, and sometimes I wonder about that. But, I guess there's truth in it, but there's also, you better be well informed in order to do that. All the programming from school and so on, and churches and so on, all of that has worked against us.
All of this is all part of the draconian program that has kept everybody under the draconian thumbs for millions of years on this planet. We are the 95th species on this planet.
Well, we
are the last species.
We're actually getting to the point of, thank goodness, the Creator is stepping in, because we are almost ready to go extinct. Look at all the animals that are dying. The planet seems as close to dying. I mean, they've done so much damage here. It's not even funny, and they do need to be stopped. And
exactly.
Apparently, humanity or mankind isn't strong enough to deal with entities that have far greater powers. Not originally they didn't, but they managed to dumb people down enough and alter us enough so that we don't have the power we'd like to. You've talked before about Zeus being here. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, Zeus is the god of the Anunnakis and the Draconians.
Okay.
All people that are from Greece. If you have Greek in your background, you are an Anunnaki.
Wow, okay. Okay. And Zeus, isn't he the one that rides around on Pegasus?
Well, actually, he has his own spaceship, but...
Well, okay, they used to say that in Greek mythology, so I was just wondering.
Right. But the name of his spaceship is Pegasus.
Is what?
The name of his spaceship is called Pegasus.
Oh, okay, it's called Pegasus, okay. And was his planet Jupiter?
Zeus, no, the Titans. The Titans are the one that runs Jupiter.
Oh, okay. I get confused here sometimes, keeping all this straight. All right, but Zeus is rounding up some of the bad guys, correct?
Correct. He's already took out. There were 6 Dark Lords of the underworld when Zeus came. When Zeus came, they had to draw their fate card. 2 drawed the flood, 1 drawed penance, 3 drawed fire and brimstone. 4 of them are gone. 1 of them is sick, and we're waiting for it to die, and that leaves the last one, and he's shaking in his boots right now.
And he's what?
Shaking in his boots.
Oh, I bet. So there's only 1 left?
Well,
that's good.
The other one is very, very sick. They're expecting him to go any time. So there'll only be 1 left. So, I mean, then it'll be him against Zeus. Because Zeus is, you have to understand, Zeus is the god of the Anunnaki.
Well, I thought he was the most powerful god, too, then, wasn't he? Or he must be. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here, correct?
Well, there's many gods. There's many planets and many beings. If you understand, everything started with the Creator. Then the Creator created his sons, which we call angels. From the angels, he created the technicals. Now, the technicals are the ones that make everything that is from tricycles to spaceships. On the other side of that spectrum, he made the morals that teaches you don't steal, tell the truth, be polite, love people. When they got together, them 2 beings got together, and they started producing their offspring, they made the Qs.
Oh, isn't that what?
Qs,
okay.
From the Qs sprung the first race that could be put out to the planet, which was the Anunnakis. And then came the Dracos. Then came the reptilians.
So humanity wasn't the first.
Absolutely not. Like I told you, we're the 95th species on this planet. The original 21 ascended masters that came to this planet that brought down 12 tribes that they're calling the 12 tribes of Israel were actually families that were brought down from other planets. Now, the white people are from the tribe of Dan, which is short for the Pleiadians.
Oh,
they're called
okay.
The tribe of Dan.
Pleiadian. Okay, I get that. That's cute. Okay. And what about the black race?
The black race was a mixture of animals that were brought from the Andromeda Galaxy system and mated with by the Anunnaki to make a slave species on this planet.
But aren't all the races on this planet basically slaves? Debt slaves, if nothing else? I mean,
right,
it's not
exactly. Because because we're 3D, and you have to understand when you're dealing with the Dracos, the Anunnakis, the reptilians, they're 4D. They're one level above us.
So therefore, they have more power than we do.
They have more power than we do, and they overtake us. But that is not how it first happened in this planet. There were people called pre-Adamites. They were the original people of Mars.
And what did they do?
Well, they lived on Mars, and then they developed the nuclear weapons. Mars is completely nuked. Let's put it that way.
That's why it
When
looks...
they left the planet of Mars, they went to the moon. They stayed on the moon 400,000 years. At this point, the tall whites come on there looking for minerals that they needed because they didn't have them from their planets. All right?
Okay.
They got into a war. The pre-Adamites had to leave the moon and crashed in North Africa. If you dig back the sands in the Sahara deserts, go down about 5 to 6 feet, you're going to start finding the pre-civilization of the pre-Adamites. That means these were the people that were before Adam. Okay?
Uh-huh.
At this point, the tall whites found them again. They started another war with them. At this point, their cities and everything were destroyed. They took 3 spaceships. They're down in the Antarctic, under the ice. This is where the ice in the Antarctic come from. It was made by the pre-Adamites to cover their ships. The code names for the 3 ships is the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. They're down there trying to cut them out now.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. That's
No more.
interesting. Wow. Okay, so Antarctica is housing other ET races, correct?
Right, and the old Nazi regime.
Boy. And what's going to happen to them? Are
Well,
they're going to be arrested?
Yeah, they'll be sent to the hell planet. And what some people call Nibiru is actually the hell planet, or they call it the trash pile. But don't be fooled. There's not just one hell planet. There's multiple hell planets that are floating around that are picking up bad people or bad beings from every planet in every universe. That's all these planets do, is just go around and they're taken off by their gods because they're not benevolent. The malevolent ones are the ones that are going to the hell planet. Malevolent means, malevolent
Nasty.
means evil.
Yeah.
Right.
Wicked.
Benevolent means loving.
Okay.
Right.
And it's time for love to win, correct?
Correct. You know, it's time to drop the hate, folks. Let's quit hating each other and let's give love a chance. God knows we've never done it before.
What was this we were talking about too, that there are, I think, again, this is from listening to another show, and maybe you can elaborate on it, son. You had mentioned something about there were 2 million ET races out there, and there were 20 million warriors, if things get out of control here, that will be sent to help us.
They're already here.
They're already here?
They're already here.
Are they visible for us to see, or they're embodied?
Absolutely not. They're in nothing but spirit form.
Oh, okay. Which means we don't see them.
We don't see them. You have to understand, there are beings on other planets that live in nothing but spirit forms. They don't ever take on a body of any type. They are nothing but pure energy.
Wow. Okay. How will things be different when we go to 5D?
Well, we're going to have a lot higher understanding. We're going to get rid of all the wars. We're going to get rid of the hate. We're not going to be seeing colors of people. We're going to be reading their vibrations. What kind of loving vibrations do you have? And obviously, the higher you go up, the higher the intelligence goes up, the higher the vibrations go up, the more love comes up.
So that's an interesting point right there. Okay. So right now, though, in 3D, if you have a very high intelligence, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't embody some of these other negative emotions or lower vibrations. Is that a correct statement?
Right. That a genius is born every 20 years. Okay?
Okay.
From the date of a death of a genius, 20 years later, another genius is born. Why? Because they're a walk-in.
Oh.
Albert Einstein was a walk-in. Tesla was a walk-in.
Now, what level?
Albert,
Okay, if you measure in terms of IQ, what level is that?
usually somewhere around 180 and above.
Okay, so 180 and above is a walk-in. That's interesting. I asked that.
They're considered a genius.
Okay.
There's children out there right now that can look at a book for 2 hours and can absolutely do surgery on you. Why? Because they're geniuses. They're walk-ins. They are absolute walk-ins.
So the difference between a walk-in and an incarnate, could you explain that?
Sure. A walk-in is somebody that comes here that is allowed to come here, and they're allowed to pick a body to go into that is already, that the energy is about ready to pass away.
Uh-huh.
You've got 36 minutes. You've got 36 minutes from the time that one energy leaves a body till another energy enters into a body. After that 36 minutes, no energy can enter into a body because a body won't accept it.
Wow. That's fascinating. I've often wondered about that. I've heard about it. I didn't know exactly how it worked. I didn't know about the 36-minute window there for bodily exchange. Fascinating.
Yeah, things are, everything that you think you've been taught, folks, you've been lied to.
Yeah,
and I'm only here, I'm not here to cause you trouble. I'm not here to cause you controversy. I'm here to wake you up. I'm just telling you the truth.
Okay, are you familiar with Project Moonshadow?
Somewhat.
I didn't have a chance to look into it to any great extent, but I got the impression it was mainly about the honeycomb nature of inner Earth. Does that sound right? Right.
That's right. Every 40 miles in Earth is a different level of being.
Now, all of the
Earth is 800 miles thick.
That's pretty thick. Okay, but we also have some nefarious races, the draconians, reptilians, and so on, that are in the lower realms of Earth. Or they just exist in a different dimension. How does that work?
Right. They live in different dimensions. They're once you get into 4D and 5D, you start getting into what they call multi-dimensional beings.
Okay. Well,
in other words, they can go from 4D to 3D.
Okay. But they can't go above the 4D, correct?
They can't go above 4D.
Okay. Interesting.
This is why you're seeing so many homeless people on the street. It's not because people are losing their homes. It's because between the Creator and the Galactics, we're putting so much ringtone into this Earth that it's bringing them out of the Earth. They cannot survive in their form underneath the planet, so they morph when they come up here, and this is why they're looking like homeless people. This is why they're getting all the homeless people off the Earth, off the streets and everything, and they have the teams that go around and check them. You know them better as the Men in Black. They started making them between humans and grays in 1976 for just this time, so they could figure out which ones are actually of the human and which ones are hybrids. And if you want to know how many humans are actually on this planet, only 100 million.
That's not very many, considering there's billions.
Right. So Imagine how many are here that are hybrids, that are Anunnaki, that are Draconian, that are Mulliks, reptilians. There's 5 different breeds of reptilians. There's the tall, there's the small, there's the medium size, there's the one that everybody says is, they saw a Sasquatch. Sasquatch is actually a reptilian.
Oh, really? I did not know
Yeah.
that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But now,
They call them, the Indians call them skinwalkers.
oh yeah, the Navajos do. Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right. They're actually a reptilian.
Interesting. I did not know they were reptilian. I didn't know what they were, but I knew they existed because too many people have
Then
seen
you
them
have-
to say
Then
that
you
they
have
don't.
what they call the snake beings. Those are the 5 reptilian beings.
So name them off again. The Draconians.
The tall reptilians,
Oh, the tall.
which are 12 to 15 feet tall. Then you have the regular size reptilians that are anywhere between 5 to 7.5 to 8 feet. Then you have the smalls, which are usually about, probably about 3 foot tall. Then you have the ones that are the skinwalkers, who are, Sasquatch and the abominable snowman. Then you have the snake people.
Did you say? Are you saying snake people?
Snake people. They are actually a reptilian.
Do they look like snakes? Is that why they're called snake people?
Right. You've probably seen them flying around in the air as dragons.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow. Oh, so
Listen, this just goes so deep.
it does. And
It really does. I mean, we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
isn't that amazing? And most people don't even know what we're talking about. So hopefully we can get people thinking about some of these things, because this is truth, folks. You might not want to believe it, but at least you've been exposed to it. And it gives you the opportunity to do a little research and to do some reading and, turn off that TV for a while and go research on the internet and see what you can find out. I mean, not that sometimes there's disinformation there too, but there's also information that you won't find anywhere else.
Right. Cross-reference. I always tell people, if you want to find out things, never use like Google.com.
Thank you.
Go to google.ru at the very bottom, push the English button. That's google.russia. You can research anything you want to. They'll tell you the truth because they have nothing to hide.
Isn't that amazing? And we have people out there trying to demonize the Russians.
Right. And you know what? If anybody ought to be demonized, it's us.
I hate to say so, but that's true. But I like to say, well, I don't like war. I don't like lies. But anyway.
Well, none of us do. But I mean, if you figure that our country has been around since its inception, and we've been in war every year except for 24 years of our being, then who seems to be the aggressor?
I know. Definitely. And what do you have to say about what they say, the return of the divine feminine? You got any comments on that?
Yeah, that was with the age of Aquarius. That is already here.
Mm-hmm.
That is already here. We are going from the male-dominated to the female-dominated.
Isn't it going to be balanced?
Right. Everything has to be balanced. For you to go to 5D, your male side can be no more than your female side, and your female side can be no more than your male side. You have to be balanced to go to 5D.
And how would people know if they were in balance?
Well, get rid of the ego for number one. Get rid of the hate. Start loving people. Smile at people. Hold the door open for somebody. Tell them to have a nice day. Do you know that there's people out there that a smile would just make their day?
That's so true. I've done that before myself, and it almost, you can see it brings a sparkle to their eye or something like that. Like, wow, somebody
Yeah,
smiled at me.
Right. I'm down in the South. Now that is normal down here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I've went up north. I've went out west, and I've held the door open, and I'm like, ladies first, and they look at me like I've lost my mind.
Well, sometimes I get this suspicious look, like, why are you smiling at me?
Right, exactly. Or I'll hold the door open and I'll let the ladies go in. And I'll tell them, y'all have a nice day. And I'll smile at them. They're like, he's so kind.
Yeah.
I'm just being, you know what? I'm being what I was raised up to be. Forget I'm an incarnate, okay? Forget about that. I was also raised up to be a gentleman, okay?
Uh-huh. Well, that's where, not everything that we've learned from religion is a bad thing. It's just some of the major things are not that good,
Right, but if you want to backtrack everything, the polite side of you comes from the morals, okay?
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard that before until you had brought that up, the different things that, the technicals, the morals, that whole list that you gave us. That was it's very interesting. So, what about what do you foresee in our immediate future? I know we can't give any dates on anything, but
well, I mean, it's according to what you're asking about. I mean, I know a lot of things, but there's some things I can't tell you about.
Okay.
Because I work with Earth Command of the Galactics, okay?
Okay.
So there's some things I can talk about, there's some things I cannot talk about.
Okay.
But I can tell you this, if you're in California, I'd leave.
That's what, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to warn people in that regard. Because the chaos there hasn't hardly even really begun yet, has it?
No, ma'am. It sure hasn't.
But it's going to get ramped up real soon, I assume.
Right. We're in the 40 days of chaos, but the problem is on the 20th of this month, we started the tribulation, you can say. We're going to go through that for 3.5 years.
Now, I remember you said that the tribulation was for the bad guys, not the regular people.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we live on this planet too.
So we can't. Okay.
We need to learn to be kind to each other.
Well, that don't seem that hard to me, but I guess it is for some people.
Really? I mean, we've been around all this time, and how many people did we pass on the street? And maybe you've got an extra bottle of water. Have you ever stopped and gave them a bottle of water? You see they're thirsty, they're sweating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an ounce of kindness is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. I would have to agree with you.
we have to learn to be kind to each other.
Mm-hmm.
We have to learn to love each other.
Mm-hmm.
Accept people for what they are. Okay? And
Don't
those
judge.
that do bad, don't judge them. Bless them, and then go your own way. You don't have to be associated with people like that. Okay?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But that doesn't mean they're not loved by somebody, okay? And it doesn't hurt anybody, it doesn't hurt anybody, to walk up to them, like if somebody's crying or something like that, give them a hug or, tell them, you are loved.
Or sometimes if you ask what's wrong and can you help or anything like that.
Right,
Sometimes
and you know that there's people out there, they just want somebody to listen. If you've got 5 or 10 minutes out of your day, sit down and let somebody tell you their story or something. You might make that person's day because they ain't got nobody else to talk to.
That's so true. That's so true. And those that have should learn to share with those that don't. That's another thing.
Well, I'm not a big, I'm not a socialist or nothing like that.
Well, I don't
know.
mean that.
But
I don't mean that because
I know, but what I'm saying is, if you've got two waters, and you see
That's what
somebody
I
that's
mean.
sweating, or even maybe a child out there, offer that child a water. If it's cold outside and you go inside and buy yourself a cup of coffee and you see somebody sitting outside and you know it's cold, buy that person a cup of coffee.
Well,
Be kind to people.
Yeah, and try to help wherever you can, whenever you can.
Right.
Sometimes I've,
Right.
gotten to the point where because through the years you've been betrayed or stabbed in the back or any number of things of that nature, you get to the point where you're almost afraid of people. And that's
Well,
really,
you know what? You normally get what you give. You normally get what you give.
Mm-hmm.
It's called karma. Whether you believe in that or not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, it's there. Karma is real.
Doesn't it seem to be happening quicker than it used to?
Yeah, because we're speeding time up by order of the Creator.
Cool.
We're speeding it up because we were a week behind, but we're almost caught up now. The
And
Draconians slowed our time down. They have since been removed.
they have. That's good.
Yes.
We needed that. Okay.
Let's not talk bad about all other beings, okay? Because look at ourselves, and we're no better than, some of us are no better than those that are of a different being that are malevolent. We're malevolent too.
It's kind of like look in the mirror.
Right. Exactly. I told my kids, I've always told my friends, if you want to see who your biggest enemy is, go look in the mirror.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Did they ask what do you mean by that?
No, once they look in the mirror, they pretty well get the idea.
Well,
That what you give out is what you get back.
and isn't there something that you, don't you need to have self-love?
Right. How can you love somebody else if you don't love yourself?
And we've been trained in many ways, especially the female race, not gender, to not love ourselves. We're, not pretty enough, not skinny enough, not smart enough, not whatever.
Because
enough.
we let society set the standard instead of setting our own standard for our own self. That's why I said, you are the one that will determine your own fate. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're skinny. It doesn't matter if you're heavy. It doesn't matter if you're tall or short. You will determine your own fate.
Okay. That makes sense. So, what we can tell our listening audience as probably the more important than anything else is to be loving, kind, considerate, and raise your vibration by doing that type of thing. Correct?
Right. Right. Whenever you feel like you want to cry, laugh. Laughing brings your vibration up unbelievably high. Laughing. Whenever you're feeling down, laugh. Laughing releases endorphins in the brain. It brings your spirit up. It makes your aura widen farther out. everybody would just take, I was talking to a Chinese doctor one time, and he said that if everybody would just take 3 minutes a day and laugh, that would do more good for the heart than any medicine that they could ever give us.
So a good sense of humor is really a good thing.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I've got, I've got a country sense of humor, so my sense of humor may be a little bit different than yours, but it works for me.
Well, everybody, they talk, sometimes they say the British have a dry sense of humor and so there's different types of humor of what will and will not make people laugh. But one of the things that I said is that, actually tears do contain, stress hormones and it does relieve, stress to a certain extent too. But I think it's one of those things you need to let it flow in and flow out and don't dwell on it. And then go to the laughter thing.
Tears are like anger. It's loose.
It's loose?
Tear, it's loose. In other words, that is what the malevolent beings feed on. Every time you get angry or every time you yell at somebody or cry, it's called loose. Okay? They feed on that because they can feel your anger. They feel your sadness. They're feeding on that.
Well, that should be enough to make you snap out of it, huh?
Yeah.
I always have to remind myself of that. I didn't think crying was such a bad thing. I thought you just cried and got it out and you're done with it. But maybe, I don't know. Well, if it makes you feel, we have to quit thinking with our minds and start thinking with our hearts. If we think with our hearts won't cry. It may mourn, but it won't cry. What's the difference? What do you mean by that?
Well,
I'm going to have to ask you next.
Well, you're going to feel like the loss of something, but, the loss of it is being contained in the heart, okay? It's a feeling that comes through the heart where the mind will lie to you.
Yeah. And we've been taught to be in our mind more than in our heart. We really have.
Right, and when you go to 5D, it's going to be just the opposite. We'll be in the heart rhythm instead of the mind rhythm.
Well, I like that. It's when they say follow your heart. That's what makes you happy.
Right, exactly. If it doesn't resonate with the heart, then it's not right.
And see, it'll be the mind that'll sit there and when you want to follow your heart, it'll be the mind that'll sit there and tell you, well, what if this? What if that? What if blah, 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 and your heart is trying to give you direction and your mind puts up all the blocks.
Right. Your mind will lie to you, your heart will not.
And so what is that gut feeling then? Just out of curiosity, I've just thrown that out there.
What's the gut?
The gut feeling, is that
Yeah. Well, that normally, I always tell people that's you listening to your physical and not to the spiritual side of you.
Oh, that's interesting.
People will say, I've got butterflies in my belly. That's because you're listening to your mind. You're not listening to your heart. You're listening to the physical being. You're not listening to the spiritual being.
Okay. So what would the feeling be from the spiritual being then, as you're seeing it?
Well, if it doesn't resonate with the heart, then it's not true. And it doesn't matter if it's a little lie or if it's a big lie. A lie is a lie, which is another thing that you're not going to be able to do in 5D.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't think that should be too difficult. We've been raised in a society where sometimes almost to, I don't know, lies seem to be quite common, or stories, or little white lies, or whatever you want to call them.
That's because that's the way the computer generated you. Lying is okay because you're using your mind. Your mind tells you it's okay. But does your heart tell you it's okay?
Heck no. Yeah. No.
See, the heart don't lie. The heart don't lie. The mind lies.
That's true. Well, on that note, do you have anything else we should add to this talk today that you
No,
think
ma'am.
is important?
The only thing that I want to tell y'all is, for those of you listening, I send love from my family, the Pleiadians, to you, and I hope you manifest in your life what you want and what you don't want in your life. Maybe it's time to get rid of it. Okay?
Don't lie to yourself. See, we can lie to ourselves too.
Right. That's the mind doing that.
Yes. Well, on that note, Kent, I'd like to thank you so much for spending time with us and explaining so many things. You're very much appreciated on the planet, and we need to enlighten and inform people as much as we can. And I can't thank you enough for being here and doing this with our little audience. But I will send this out on the internet as well. And I hope that maybe at some point in time, you'd be willing to come back as a guest again.
Okay. Thank you very much, Miss Gail. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. And you have a beautiful afternoon. And
You too.
we'll talk at you again sometime. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So goodbye. So this is Gail of Gaia. We're signing off, and I hope you enjoyed our conversations today with Kent Dunn, and I hope we'll have him back again. Thank you so much.
You're listening to your local radio.
98.1 FM, KPFD LP, Perumps Freedom Radio.